Hello, welcome to our presentation. We are postgraduate students from Hamburg College Information Technology Solutions program. Today we are going to talk about software development lifecycle and its methodologies. My name is Mehmet and my friend's name Simran and Tatwa. I'm going to start presentation with introduction of SDLC. I will explain its importance in the industry and I will conclude my part with the basic description of phases. And Simran and Tatwa will cover iteration model, phases of iteration models, and comparison to other models, and we will finish our presentation with conclusion and references. What is SDLC? As programming more and more complex, more structure for needed to form a basis for project management, also to support communication between different teams, because team were a necessity at the time to overcome complex projects. This led to idea of SDLC. 62 years ago, the explicit representation of SDLC was introduced by Harvard Bennington. The initial purpose of the SDLC was to facilitate software development, to provide framework for the individual tasks or different processes. From 1980s onward, the purpose of SDLC also started to change. It also tries to automate and develop each of the phases separately. And now phases of SDLC. There are 6 phases in the SDLC model. We combined 2 phases into one in the requirement analysis. It is composed of planning and analysis as well. I will start with the requirement analysis. After the business inception and objectives, the requirements and functions are becoming analyzed and identified. You have to first identify the functions and also analyze the requirements. This is also the estimate time and cost are calculated. Estimate cost of project are calculated. For the design phase, in contrast to requirement analysis, the focus is now on how the system will accomplish certain specific tasks or functions. So each portion of the new system designed in detail, including user interface, data structure, and programming design. The development part is one of the key phases of the project. Outputs of the design phase are translated into hardware or executable software. Also, some functional qualification testings are conducted in that phases. For testing, we are closing to final phases, and all the various components of the system came together and integrated, and then systematical testings are starting, and one of the objectives is if the technical requirements are evaluated, including the base of requirements on security. It is occurring after system is in full operation. In other words, it is working in its environment. It mainly includes software upgrades, repairs, and fixes that may occur in the industry or in the companies. And now my friend Tatva will going to talk about iteration model in detail.
Before talking about the iteration model, the first question comes in our mind is why there was a need to invent iteration model. Iteration model was invented due to the fallbacks of waterfall model. Now the waterfall model is a sequential process, which means there's no going back. Like if you are given a form and you fill it with a pen, then will you be able to make changes to it? The answer is no. The same way, in waterfall model, there's no going back. Once the process jumps to another phase, you cannot make any changes to the previous phase. Due to which building a large software is not recommended using waterfall model. Because in large projects, there's always additional features, modifications or changes to be done, which features are not given in waterfall model. Another thing in waterfall model is planning phase takes a lot of time. As we know that we cannot make any changes to the previous phase, and large project consists of frequent changes. Waterfall model is not recommended for that. So these were the limitations of waterfall model, due to which there was a need to invent another model to overcome the problems which we had. So iteration model was invented during that time. Iteration model is also called as iterative waterfall model because it is derived from the waterfall model. So talking about the iteration model, what does the iteration means? So iteration means the repetition of process. And what does iteration model do? It just repeats the cycle of process. N number of iterations can be made till the desired output is obtained. So now the question is, how does it works? So basically a large system is divided into small segments, and these small segments are built and tested together individually, and then combining the whole system, at the end the system is tested. So in iteration model, you can start building the software with whatever information you have at the initial stage, and later you can add additional features, or you can modify or change anything according to the requirements. So for example, while writing an essay, you don't figure out each and every word which you are going to write. You just start whatever comes in your mind and keep adding up to the essay. The iteration model works in the same way. You just start with the whatever information you have at the initial stage, and you keep adding up new versions, new software or additional features in the upcoming iterations. And all the segments are developed, tested and designed at each and every iterations. And n number of iterations can be created in iteration model. So now the question comes in our mind is, what does the cycle of process consist of? I would like to call my friend Simran so that she can explain the phases of iteration model.
Thank you, Tatva, for handing me the presentation. Now I am going to discuss about the phases of the iteration model. So there are basically 5 phases of the iteration model, and those are requirement analysis, software and system design, implementation, testing and maintenance phase. Now starting with the requirement analysis, and this is the initial phase where the analyst gather all the information regarding the new product and all its alternative solution through the interviews as well as the questionnaires, and evaluation is done based on the factors like cost benefit analysis, like to hand over the best quality product but within the cheap price, and also time management should be there, like to provide the product back to the users within the given time limit, and also resources have to be considered, like what type of hardware and software resources are going to be there. So all these factors have to be considered in for the requirement analysis, and then it is transferred in the written agreement between the contractors as well as the customers, in order to have a clear view of all the objectives, and in order to assign roles and responsibilities to the different members who are being involved in the group. So in the iterative model, there is no need to know about all the requirements initially, so the requirements can be added later on. So we can start with the basic functionality in this phase. So after the requirement analysis, there is a system and software design. So design basically includes the architecture of the system that is going to be developed. So design basically is of 2 types, logical design and the physical design, where the logical design consists of the conceptual representation of the whole system. It tells like what the system actually is. On the other hand, physical design tells us about how the process is going to be built, like it represents the actual representation of the whole system. So initially the logical design is being created, and then it is transferred to the physical design in the later phases. So after the design phase, there is the implementation phase, where there is a need of the of the people who are having the high knowledge of the programming languages like C, C++, Java. So there is a need of compilers also, interpreter also. So the coding part is done over here. So after the implementation phase, there is a testing phase in which testing is done in order to find out the errors if there are any, and in order to check the correctness of the system. So there are three different types of testing. The number one is the unit testing, in which a single module is being tested at a time in order to find the bugs. And after that, there is the integration and system testing. In integration testing, different units are combined together to find the error, to find if the performance is accurate or not. And then is the system testing, in which whole of the system is tested at a single time to check its performance. So these were the three types of testing, and after that there is the last phase, which is operations and maintenance. And in this, the product is given to the users, but before giving the final product, beta testing is done, in which the trial version is given to the users so that he can check that if the program is up to the mark or not. And then finally, in order to provide the regular updates and to fix the errors in the future, there is a maintenance phase. So if there are going to be any errors in the future, it can be eradicated in this phase. So these were the 5 basic phases of the iteration model. Now I'm going to hand over the presentation to my friend Tattva, and he will be telling about the iteration model.
Like we know, every node has a negative and a positive side, and so does our iteration model has. As it is iterative, modifications can be made easily, testing becomes easier due to different segments, and we can test individual segments and the whole combined system too. And errors can be detected easily due to this process. Also, iterative model can be cost effective, as we can analyze the process when it's going step by step. Now coming to the drawbacks. As it is iterative and it is recommended for the large software, the structure might get complicated, and constant follow-up is required as additional features and modifications are to be done in next iterations. It is not effective for small projects because it is a large system model, and it might be time consuming as n number of iterations can be created. So to conclude, I would like to say that iteration model works very systematically for large projects. So according to the requirements at the initial stage, we select the model which we have to work with. So to say overall, iteration model is cost effective but time consuming, and testing is easy, modifications can be made, and additional features can be added anytime during the project completion, and desired output can be obtained. Thank you.